Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing, and this will be a little bit of a different thing, to say the least. Well, first of all, you can tell that it's probably been a good time that I've had a vacation, because I usually do 3 or 4 podcasts and a radio appearance and a couple other things during the course of a week, and you can tell that my voice isn't particularly good right now. Well, it's been way worse, let's put it that way, but what it hasn't done is keep me from having, along with my beautiful wife Jane, an amazing California vacation. And so, just maybe for my own edification, I'll have this forever to listen back to, and maybe you'll enjoy some of the sights and sounds of our really cool 9 or 10 days in California. Usually I'm sitting in front of a mic stand with sort of a studio set up. Instead, right now I'm in the Coachman's Inn in Carmel by the Sea, California, holding a stick mic and trying to not move it around so much so it makes some noise, but that'll probably happen. Anyway, it's been a wonderful vacation, and sometimes you go into a vacation, and especially one like this, which my wife worked so hard on, and it's very well planned, and there were a lot of plans, and maybe at this outset you're thinking maybe we have too many plans. Well, it's all turned out to be absolutely wonderful, and in the end you figure out that we could have done actually a whole lot more. But we're here on a Thursday. You'll hear this on Friday and beyond. Today, at the end of the day, I'll be playing golf at the iconic Spyglass Hill. My wife's cousin Ross is a pro at Pebble Beach, and the Pebble Beach complex includes Spyglass, so we'll be playing there. That should be amazing, and we've gone everywhere from Los Angeles and iconic restaurants there, and then up the coast a little bit to Hollywood Beach, where I get a couple of days of body surfing in, and I don't get to do that very often. We spent our anniversary on the Friday before. I kind of skipped over that at the Cicada restaurant and watched some great dancers and a big band and all kinds of stuff like that. It really has been an amazing time, and I've already played a round of golf, actually my first round of golf of the year after my surgery for a detached retina. The final bits of the gas ball disappeared on the very day I was going to fly. So that was an amazingly nice development as well. So all kinds of things to cover today, maybe some things you can use on a trip coming up to California, but just some reveries, reminiscences, and some thoughts about a California vacation. California dreaming, as it were, and dreams realized, for sure. Here in California, as I sit in Carmel by the Sea on this Thursday for Kansas City Profiles, presented by Easton Roofing, and we'll get started next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
Hey Kansas City, Joe Spiker, Easton Roofing, back for another beautiful springtime in Kansas City. We are proud to announce our renewed partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Kansas City. Starting in 2024, a portion of every job sold will be donated to a cause close to my heart. I was a big, and I encourage you to volunteer. And if you hire us for service on your residential or commercial roof, you'll know that a portion of the profits will go to a great cause. So call us at 913-257-5426. Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300.
If you'd like to join these and other fine sponsors and market your business to Kansas City's #1 variety podcast, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to working with you.
Welcome back, and we took off from Kansas City on Wednesday, June 5th, and it was Nice day to fly. It was bad circumstances for me to fly because I had a very bad cold, and probably the worst cold I've ever had in my life, in fact. And if you have a really bad cold and you get on a plane and you get all that pressure, what you're going to end up with for sure is clogged ears and a blocked head, and I certainly had that. And that made things unpleasant, but I'm not the type of person who lets that type of thing get me down. And I didn't, although there were a couple nights where I was sweating and it was kind of hard to sleep. I tried to keep myself away from my wife, who remarkably has never caught anything, and she usually catches everything. So that was pretty cool thing. Maybe the best development of all about this amazing vacation is that she didn't catch what I got. But anyway, despite all that, I wasn't going to let this make my fun any less, and we had a beautiful flight. We had a beautiful place we stayed for the longest stretch of time, 4 nights in Los Angeles, in a Airbnb, a condominium in a beautiful high-rise near the jewelry district, sort of 8th and Olive, if you know Los Angeles at all. We're on the 37th floor with a magnificent view of the cityscape, and there was a pool there, which we didn't use, but it was lovely. Everything was great about it, nice people there, and all kinds of good stuff. And right off the bat, we went to a famous restaurant, the Formosa Club, that night, and that's a famous Hollywood spot. And what we found out right there is on that first day, as we maneuvered our way around, is that LA traffic is something that people talk about, and I'm telling you what, you can't overstate it. This first scene in La La Land is pretty accurate, where you just sometimes are just stopped in traffic. I think it's about, from our condominium, it was about 6 miles to Formosa, the restaurant, and I think it took us 55 minutes. And but it was worth it. It was a dark restaurant that many, many famous people have dined at, and it was a famous spot for Hollywood people to go to. George Clooney was most famous for being the latest regular there. It's gone through many permutations, but they have done a redo of it. It's a beautiful spot as well, and it's in West Hollywood. So really cool start to our vacation, but that traffic is not ever overrated. If anybody complains about the traffic, they could probably complain more. It's absolutely amazing, but you kind of get used to it. You just know you're not going to get anywhere in a hurry. And when you actually do get a little bit of freedom on the highway, it's kind of cool. You're like, oh, we're actually driving 55 miles an hour for a mile and a half, because much of this traffic is on the highway, and you're going like 10 miles an hour on the highway. And so that's probably not the best part of Los Angeles, but when you're visiting, it's just you get more time and you don't really care that much. So that was cool. So on Thursday, it was time to tick off another iconic restaurant, and that would be Musso and Frank's. We spent the day wandering around a bit in Los Angeles. As I was preparing to do this, I was actually trying to remember, and I had to ask my wife, and then I checked a couple of things, and I was right, that our Turner Classic Movies tour of Warner Brothers Studios was actually Friday. Somehow I thought it was Thursday, but it was, Thursday was just like every other day seemingly in Los Angeles. You wake up, at least at this time of year, and it's cloudy and gray out and kind of foggy, and the marine layer's there, and then eventually around noontime it burns off, and then it's a beautiful day, and then it rinse and repeat really throughout the entire trip. But Musso and Frank's is a very famous restaurant as well. It's another home to the stars. The food was excellent. The atmosphere was really cool. Big red leather booths and an old world feel, and really highly attentive staff and people who'd been there. I talked to one guy who'd been there 18 years, and he said that everybody gets treated well. They paid them during COVID, and it really is reflected in the experience that you get. So that was really cool as well. If Jane was here, and we'll do this probably in a couple of weeks on Reconcilable Differences, I'm sure she could tell you whatever food she had. But all I know is that I eat more on vacation than I ever do any other time, because usually I only eat lunch, and in these cases I usually eat a little bit of dinner, or at least sample something, and I usually don't eat dinner. But if you're going to a place like Formosa or Musso and Frank's, or what would be the Cicada Club the next day, you'd be silly not to do that. So I did, but I don't really remember maybe some of the individual dishes, but I don't think we really had a a bad meal or a bad experience any time. And, of course, when you're picking out the best, I guess you shouldn't. And I don't really know what the bills were because usually my wife was signing. So all I know is that everything's very expensive here. That is for sure. But we actually had planned this out for a long, long time. So much of the stuff was paid for prior to it. But on vacation, you try not to think about things like that. But Thursday was another busy day of going around the city and checking out some iconic buildings, the Biltmore Hotel, and some of the places where we had plans to maybe do more extensive visiting of spots in film noir literature and movies. And we got to some of them, but maybe not as many as we saw on the map that we had purchased. And part of the reason is because if you have to drive any distance, it takes forever and a day. So anyway, Thursday was another cool day. And actually, we did some things that were slated to be maybe related. Musso and Frank's perhaps was supposed to be the spot where we would officially celebrate our anniversary, but I said, let's do it Friday on the actual day, and that we did. Our 22nd anniversary was Friday, June 7th, and we again did a lot of going around and checking out things. Went to lunch in a downtown sort of food court-ish, old-fashioned. I think it was some Grand Central or something like that. Some kind of old, maybe train station from way in the past, but all kinds of different things. And we had a wonderful clam chowder, and it was just a cool people-watching experience. And then we rested up for our big anniversary event, which was at the Cicada Club. And the Cicada Club is another place in Los Angeles that has been used in a variety of different movies, including Pretty Woman, the restaurant, fancy restaurant where she ends up throwing, I think, her escargot at somebody, and I think she's being insulted. Or anyway, many different episodes of Mad Men were filmed in this particular place, and we saw a big band, and that was really kind of a mixed and funny and cool event because the band was good, and we like big band music. I generally like big band jazz music that doesn't have singing in it, but just the guys playing. And this was more the kind that where people sang, but anyway, the female singer was outstanding, and so for the first few tunes, they played and she sang, and it was really great. And then it came time for the male singer to come up, and that was, in the end, kind of a hoot, because this was a guy who was tall and dapper and had dark hair. Is probably, I don't know, 60-ish. And he really thought he was Frank Sinatra. And he did the whole Frank Sinatra type deal. And in fact, I turned to my wife and said, he's not doing Frank Sinatra. He's doing Bill Murray, the lounge singer version of Frank Sinatra with the finger snapping and everything else. So that was pretty funny. But the real highlight was the dancing. My wife and I love to dance, but we more like to rock and roll dance and freeform dance and things like that. We don't know the foxtrot or the jitterbug or anything else that they were doing out there, but a couple of couples did. One was an older couple where the man was at least a head shorter than his wife, but he was an excellent dancer, and she was a beautiful lady, and they were having fun out there, and they were really fine dancers, but they were certainly surpassed by a young couple who turned out to be, we talked to them afterwards, they were dance instructors. And the young lady was, she appeared to be, she was Asian, Filipino, maybe a little Hispanic, and he was as well. And they were both small, and they were fabulous dancers, and they joyfully were doing the jitterbug, and they said that, this is their way to cut out. They have to teach people how to dance all the time, and that's probably less fun than them dancing. And it was just worth the price of admission to watch these people dance, especially their jitterbug was unbelievably good, and they had all the moonwalk type of footwork, and it was just the coolest thing of all. So it was a great. And because we talked about it subsequently with somebody else, I know my wife had swordfish, and she said it was great. I don't remember what I had, but I could highly recommend the Cicada Club. It's a real Hollywood experience, and it was a great place for us to spend our 22nd anniversary. And we've done our anniversary in everywhere from Saratoga, Wyoming, to Cottonwood Falls, Kansas, to New York City, and now to Los Angeles. So all those things are eclectically done for us, and we've had a great time with all of them.